COVID-19 pandemic has had a devastating effect on the Indian economy, and steel industry has not been an exception. When the lockdown happened, the economy saw 63% reduction in the domestic demand. To overcome this, as also the need for liquidating their existing inventories, most of the steel makers they resorted to exports. To the extent that the month of May, June and July saw unprecedented all-time high levels of steel exports. In these 3 months itself, the steel exports surpassed 7 million tons. Post that period, we have seen a reduction in the amount of steel exports. However, it has not been really a inverted V kind of a fall, and the figures are still much higher than what they were prior to the lockdown. We see this trend continuing due to various factors, and we are predicting or forecasting that FY21 is set up to see one of the largest amount of steel exports, an all-time high of steel exports the nation has ever seen, to the tune of almost 16 to 17 million tons in FY21. So what are the factors which will be the major drivers of this particular steel exports, or why are we so optimistic about steel exports overall? First of all, and on one hand, we have rating agencies like Moody's who have forecast a downfall of almost 10% in Indian domestic steel consumption. They have based this on the fact that COVID in its second and third wave will continue to cause major disruptions and intermittent or ad hoc lockdowns the way what we are seeing these days. And also that the COVID has really caused a much deeper contraction in Indian economy. On the other hand, we have post this period of lockdown, major steel industries like Tata Steel and JSW who have ramped up production and are currently at a capacity utilization of almost 90 to 100%. This additional steel will be available in the market, and in the absence of the domestic demand, will have to get allocated for exports. Another factor that is probably going to work positively for the steel exports is the China factor. Now, China, we know, is one of the biggest steel exporters in the world. And traditionally, in the period between October to March, it is faced with a number of pollution and environmental issues. And it issues certain instructions for curbing the level of emissions. And traditionally, every year, this period sees a slight reduction or a dip in its overall export numbers. This particular void that is created by the reduction of Chinese exports is likely to work in favor of Indian steel exporters. There's another issue which I'd like to cover, which may be of relevance over here, and that is the amount of rebate that the government of India offers to its exporters. In case of steel, the existing rebate on exports is between 2.5 to 3%. Now it has been reported that government is wanting to reduce this level to 1.5%. But it's not confirmed as yet, and no decision has yet been reached. However, this particular thing will work against the exporters. But we actually feel that despite this particular small setback or negative aspects for steel exports, overall market situation and the macro and microeconomic factors keeping in mind will work positively for steel exports, and we will see an all-time high of almost 16 to 17 million tons in FY21.